You won't believe what just exploded on live TV. White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt didn't just defeat Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett in a political debate. She completely annihilated her in what will go down as one of the most vicious, humiliating, and utterly one-sided takedowns in modern political history. The atmosphere in the studio was so charged, you could practically see sparks flying between them, the audience divided like rival sports fans at a championship game, half cheering wildly while the other half booed with equal intensity. But here's what really has everyone talking. Did Leavitt just deliver the knockout blow that ends Crockett's political relevance with a single, perfectly timed audio revelation? Or has she merely ignited a firestorm that will rage across cable news, social media, and the halls of Congress for weeks to come? Strap in tight, because this political earthquake is sending shockwaves far beyond that studio, and the aftershocks might just reshape the entire landscape. The tension in the studio had been building for weeks, ever since the network announced this showdown between two of the most outspoken women in American politics. As the cameras rolled, the air itself seemed to vibrate with anticipation, the studio lights casting dramatic shadows that made the scene look more like a high-stakes boxing ring than a political debate. On one side of the stage stood Karoline Leavitt, the poised and polished White House press secretary, whose calm demeanor hid a razor-sharp intellect and a killer instinct for debate. Every slight movement she made, the way she adjusted her stack of documents, the subtle arch of an eyebrow, the controlled way she held her opponent's gaze, radiated quiet confidence. Across from her, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett paced slightly like a caged tiger, her signature fiery energy barely contained, her expressive face already telegraphing every emotion before she even spoke a word. The host's voice boomed through the sound system. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the political showdown you've all been waiting for." And in that moment, the entire nation seemed to hold its breath, sensing they were about to witness something extraordinary. Leavitt made the first move with surgical precision, her voice measured but dripping with barely concealed disdain. "Congresswoman Crockett, before we discuss policy, let's address the elephant in the room. Your repeated claims about fighting for the working class, while taking massive donations from the very corporate elites you claim to oppose." She held up a thick binder dramatically, letting the weight of the document thud audibly on the podium for emphasis. Crockett's reaction was instantaneous and explosive. Her eyes flashed with fury, her body language shifting from confident to combative in a heartbeat. "Oh, please, little Miss Perfect," she shot back, her voice rising with each word. "You want to talk about hypocrisy? Let's talk about your boss's tax cuts for billionaires while pretending to care about the middle class." The audience erupted into competing cheers and boos, the energy in the room splitting down ideological lines. But Leavitt remained unnervingly calm, that same small, knowing smile playing at the corners of her lips as she waited for the perfect moment to strike. Then came the moment that would be replayed on every news channel for days. With the timing of a grandmaster chess player, Leavitt reached slowly for her iPad, her movements deliberate and theatrical. "You know what's interesting, Jasmine?" she said, her voice dropping to a near whisper that somehow cut through the noise. "It's what people say when they think the cameras aren't rolling." With a single tap, the damning audio clip filled the studio, Crockett's unmistakable voice, clear as day, saying, "I don't care who funds me as long as they hate Trump. Their money spends just the same." The effect was instantaneous and catastrophic. The audience's collective gasp was audible. Reporters in the press gallery scrambled for their phones, and Crockett's face underwent a visible transformation, from shock to denial to sheer panic in the span of 3 seconds. "That's doctored! That's a lie!" Crockett screamed, her voice cracking with barely controlled hysteria as she slammed both palms down on her podium hard enough to make the microphone feedback screech. But Leavitt was already capitalizing on the advantage, speaking over the growing chaos with the practiced ease of someone who lived for these moments. This clip comes straight from a 2023 MSNBC interview, Jasmine. Are you saying they edited you too? She held up another document, waving it slightly for the cameras to see. Or should we discuss the $50,000 you took from the Progressive Future PAC, the same group you called corporate wolves in sheep's clothing just 6 months ago? The precision of her attacks, the way each new revelation landed like another body blow, left Crockett visibly staggering, her earlier bravado crumbling in real time for millions to see. What followed was a complete and total meltdown of historic proportions. Crockett's hands shook violently as she pointed accusingly at Leavitt, her voice rising to a shrill pitch that bordered on hysterical. "You're a damn liar, Karoline. This is what they do. They take words out of context to destroy black women who stand up to them." The desperate racial appeal might have worked in another setting, but here, with the damning evidence still fresh in everyone's minds, it fell horrifically flat. The audience reaction was immediate and brutal, laughter mixed with jeers, a few isolated cheers from her supporters drowned out by the growing wave of scorn. Leavitt, sensing the kill, delivered the coup de grace with chilling calmness. "Jasmine, if you're so concerned about context, why don't you explain why you took that money while voting against minimum wage increases for your own district?" The room exploded again, the sound of the crowd's reaction physically shaking the camera stands. Crockett's final catastrophic mistake was letting her rage override all sense of decorum. "I'm not sitting here to be lynched by some Trump puppet." "Bitch!" she shrieked, tears of fury streaming down her face as she violently shoved her chair back and stormed off stage, her high heels clicking erratically as she nearly tripped in her haste to escape. The image of her retreating back, shoulders hunched, arms flailing as her aides tried to corral her, would become the defining visual of the entire debacle, replayed in slow motion on every news network with dramatic voiceovers and pundit commentary. The faux aftermath was nothing short of a media feeding frenzy. Within minutes, Jacker Crockett collapse was trending globally. Memes of her meltdown flooded every social platform, and cable news channels split their screens to replay the most explosive moments. On loop, conservative commentators hailed Leavitt as a debate assassin, while progressive outlets scrambled to do damage control with increasingly desperate spins. Crockett's subsequent attempt at damage control, a tearful, shaky-voiced live stream from her office where she claimed the audio was selectively edited, only poured gasoline on the fire, with internet sleuths immediately fact-checking and debunking her excuses in real time. But beneath the spectacle lies a more profound question. Has American politics reached a point where a single viral moment can permanently alter a career trajectory? In an era where attention spans are measured in seconds and public perception can shift on a dime, Leavitt's surgical destruction of Crockett may represent a new paradigm in political combat, one where preparation, timing, and mastery of the viral moment trump traditional debating skills. As the dust settles, one thing is certain. This wasn't just a bad night for Crockett. It was a case study in how quickly and brutally modern media can amplify political missteps into career-defining disasters. So what do you think? Was this a masterclass in political debate or a cautionary tale about the dangers of the viral age? Could Crockett possibly recover from this, or has Leavitt cemented herself as the new gold standard in political takedowns? Sound off in the comments below and make sure to follow for more explosive political coverage. Because if this showdown proved anything, it's that in today's politics, the next seismic moment is always just one camera click away.